Hi, this is Miss Litton, and this is 7th period review. 7th period review of Chapter 8 for Honors Bio, Photosynthesis. So the first thing I want to make sure we hit on all the big ticket items. In plants, okay, you want to know the reactants. Oh, I'm frozen. You want to know the reactants and you want to know the products of photosynthesis. Could you write the equation for photosynthesis? Yes, no, maybe so?
No.
Okay, name a reactant for me.
Water.
Water. Where does water go in? Through the roots. Name another reactant.
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide. How does carbon dioxide get in?
Leaves.
Leaves. What do you call those? Stomata. Name something else you need for photosynthesis. Yes?
ATP energy.
Well, you will make that as a product of the
ATP.
first reaction. That's an intermediary as well.
Sunlight.
Sunlight. Okay? You need some form of energy to excite your electrons. Okay? So those are all reactants. What are some products? Product of photosynthesis.
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Good. Okay, and oxygen's going to go back out through the stomata. What's another product? What? Glucose. Sugars. Yeah, exactly. Sugars. That's a product. Right? Now, when we look at the anatomy of a leaf, a cross-section of a leaf, you can see inside each of these cells, there's little green dots inside those cells, and there's this big blue thing. What is this big blue thing inside that cell?
The vacuole.
The vacuole, large central vacuole. And what looks like little dots in there, those are what?
The chlorophyll.
Chloroplast. Okay, and you have a chloroplast that looks something like this. You have these stacks of pancakes. What's the name of that membrane right there? Thylakoid. What happens on that thylakoid membrane?
ETC.
Yes, how many of them?
2.
2, right? Photosystem 2 and photosystem 1. So on the thylakoid membranes, you have your electron transport chains. What do you get as a product of the electron transport chains?
ATP.
You're going to get ATP, and what else? What?
The formation of glucose?
Not from the electron transport chains.
Is it reduced?
Reduced NADP. And you get one other product that is just released out of the plant.
Oxygen.
Oxygen, good. These electron transport chains, okay? This is the photo part of photosynthesis. Another name for it is the light-dependent reaction. Yes? You all right? Okay, all of that occurs along these membranes right here. Now, in order to make ATP, you have to concentrate hydrogen ions. Where do you concentrate those hydrogen ions? Inside. Okay? And when you concentrate those hydrogen ions, when they go back out, that's when they go back out through ATP synthase complex and you make your ATP. Right? Now, those electrons, when they're done getting excited a few times, that's when you give the electrons to NADP in order to reduce it. These two things, ATP and reduced NADP, are taken, both of these items, and in the stroma, you do what reaction?
The Calvin cycle?
Calvin cycle, what's another name for it?
Dark reaction.
Dark reaction, what's another name for it?
The
Light independent reaction. And how many times are you going to do that out in the stroma?
Twice.
Twice. And each time, what are you going to crank out from that?
Half a glucose.
Half of a glucose. Good. Say my name, say my name. What do you call half of a glucose? No, you use glucose to make it.
A carboxyl.
No. P,
PGAL.
yeah, PGAL, or another name for it is G3P. Okay? So if you do it twice, you get 2 of those. So in the stroma, around the green pancakes, that's where you do the synthesis part of photosynthesis. Okay, on the green pancakes, that's where you do the light-dependent reaction that makes ATP and reduced NADP that allows you to do the light-independent reaction or the dark reaction of the Calvin cycle. Clarification on the location of the different reactions. Okay, so now in order to make this happen, you need energy, and you need energy to excite the electrons. Where is that energy going to come from? The sun. Okay, and we talked about the electromagnetic spectrum, and for plants, we are going to use visible light, and for visible light, we have these different wavelengths. The shorter the wavelengths, the more energy. So who has more energy, Roy or Biv? Biv, yeah. Okay, so if we did red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet, right? Down here, these are the shortest wavelengths, so they have the most power. Now, a plant has different pigments that capture the energy in different places along this spectrum. Chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B, they can use these regions in here. They can't use this region. That's why plants appear to be what? Green. But carotenoids, they can not use this region right here. They appear as what color? Orange. Okay, so, but they can use the green, right? And so you can look at an absorption spectrum, and you can see which pigments absorb which wavelengths of light. Now, why do we need to absorb wavelengths of light? Because we need to get our electrons what? Excited. Okay, so pigments capture that energy in order to excite our electrons in photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Look to the person next to you. Ask them clarifying questions. Are you confused? Okay, are you comfortable with this diagram right here? Okay, so you're doing your light reactions here using the sun's energy, generating reduced NADP and ATP, which is used in the Calvin cycle how many times? Twice to get one glucose, and then you need to bring in CO2 in order to do that. And a byproduct of the light reaction is oxygen. Do we appreciate that? Yes. Who else appreciates that? Plants, because what process do they do? Cellular respiration. Who does it? All cells. Good, yay. Okay, so let's check. I'm really wanting to get to the questions I haven't asked you before, but we'll go through these really fast. Okay then. 3 number.
Are any of the questions not on that slide thing that you have on your class?
That I'm doing
Your
right now?
presentation?
I think they're probably all there.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, most of you got that. Awesome. Yes. Whose trouble was it? What were you thinking? Those of you who didn't get that, just so I can clarify. Was there something? Can you share it with me? I'm not going to ring that bell of shame on you. I just want to make sure you understand it. Okay, the thylakoid membranes. Those are the things that make those green pancakes. Okay, that would be a grana, and when you refer to all of them, then together that is collectively known as the grana, as the plural. Yay! Was anybody questioning that? Questions, concerns? No? 3, 2, 1. Arena, you're very slow. Oh, yes, the primary pigment is chlorophyll. There's chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. It's primary pigment, chlorophyll A being the most. And then things like carotenoids and xanthophylls, those are other pigments. Yes, Slowpoke, you are. Okay, so chlorophyll does not absorb what color? Green, right? That's why it's reflecting it back as green. I have a white shirt on. What colors am I not absorbing?
Wait.
All
Colors. All of them. All are reflected back to you. As white as the light's coming in, that's what it's coming back to you. But if this, what's happening here?
It's absorbing all.
It's absorbing all, and that's why it looks this absence of color. That blue skirt right there, okay, is it absorbing green?
Yes.
Red?
Yes.
Orange?
Yes.
Blue?
No.
That's why it appears blue. Whatever comes back at you, that's what it's not absorbing. Okay, clarifying questions on that? Stop hurting yourself. It's not allowed during 7th period. Okay, that's all I can stand. Yay! Oh, there's already one up there. All right, okay. So on those thylakoid membranes, there are two photosystems. We start with photosystem 2. In reality, it starts with 1, and then 2 replaces 1, and then the water replaces 2. I'm just simplifying it. We're going to start with 2. Okay? And we're going to start with water. And what are we going to do with that water? We're going to what? Break it in half. When you break water in half, you only have 2 products. What are your 2 products?
Hydrogen and oxygen.
Oxygen, which we, breathe, and hydrogen. We'll take hydrogen apart. We'll send the electrons on the electron transport chain, and we'll take the hydrogen ions and put them inside our thylakoid membranes and concentrate them. Why do we want to concentrate them? So we can make some ATP. Those electrons will get excited by the sun. They na. Let's bring some more hydrogen ions. We will use what?
PQ.
PQ, bringing in even more. So when they go back out, we make ATP. Take those same electrons. Now we're going to go into photosystem 2. Still 2 electrons. Now photosystem 1. Yeah, we were in 2, going to 1. Thank you. And then we're going to excite them again. But are we going to let them cool all the way back down? No. Stop them part way. And who are we going to give them to? NADP, forming reduced NADP. Then you take some ATP and some reduced NADP to the dark reaction or the
light independent.
Perfect. This is called non-cyclic photophosphorylation because electrons come in via water. This is the source of our electrons that we get excited, not once but twice, and electrons go out via reduced NADP. Non-cyclic. Cyclic looks something like this. Excited, na makes some ATP. Excited, na makes some ATP. Excited, na makes some ATP. What don't we make in this one? Reduced NADP. So, is it as helpful as non-cyclic? No. Okay? Now, we are going to take these products we just made, ATP and reduced NADP, to the dark reaction, or the Calvin cycle, or the light-independent reaction. And we talk about, 3C5. What is the name of that C5 compound? RUBP. 3C5 plus 3C1, right, makes 3C6, break down to what? 6C, I don't know what I'm writing. It's a mystery. Breaks down to 6C3. Then we use some what? ATP. Use some reduced NADP on our 6C3. I changed the color because we've just given it more energy. Then we take one away, so we take one of those C3s away, And you're left with how many? 5C3. Use some ATP. We use some ATP again to build 3C5 plus 3C1 makes 3C6. Break down to 6C3, right? Use some ATP, use some reduced NADP on your 6C3. We take one away again, but now we have what?
Glucose.
Glucose. And you're left with 5 again. Use some ATP to build 3C5. So that's that reaction. We just do it 2 times in order to get our end product. So we could see it like this. There are 3 parts to it. There is the CO2 fixation. That's when the C1 hooks up with the, C5 and makes our C6. We're making a gas into a what? Solid. Okay. And then we have CO2 reduction. That's when we level up using ATP and reduced NADP. And then our third part is when we regenerate RUBP, who we affectionately call, right? Okay. All right. And then, do you need this anymore? Are you good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we can just go through and sing it? Okay, here we go. Get your can. Ready? Water, 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 water. What are we going to do? Break it in half. What do we get? Oxygen and electrons. Sweep, sweep. Here comes the sun, traveling in waves. Particles of light are called photons. And it gets the electrons excited. Ah-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. PQ. And you make some ATP. Here comes the sun, traveling in waves. Particles of light are called photons. And it gets the electrons excited. Ah-na-na-na-na-na. Who catches it? NADP, forming reduced NADP. Then you take some ATP and some reduced NADP to the dark reaction, or the Calvin cycle, or the light-independent reaction. You ready? 3C5 plus 3C1 makes 3C6. Break down to 6C3. Use some ATP, use some reduced NADP on your 6C3. Take one away, PGAL. And you're left with 5. Use some ATP to build 3C5 plus 3C1 makes 3C6. Break down to 6C3. Use some ATP, use some reduced NADP on your 6C3. Take one away, glucose. And you're left with 5. Use some ATP to build 3C5. Stop. Now, making sure you understand. Water, break it in half. You get oxygen and electrons. We make a peace sign. That's because we get 2 electrons. Because why? 2 hydrogens, right? You get an electron from each of them. When we're sweeping, what are we sweeping? Hydrogen ions inside the thylakoid membranes. Sun comes in photosystem 2, also why we have it like this. When we na-na-na-na, that's an electron transport chain. Embedded in the chain is a coenzyme named who brings in more hydrogen ions inside our thylakoid membrane. Combination of the sweeping and the PQing allows us to make some ATP. Right? I'm going to take these same 2. Now I'm in photosystem what? 1. So I put my fingers together. Here comes the sun again, excites him again. I na-na-na-na, pass the chain, but I don't let him go to the bottom because I leave it high energy, and I reduce some NADP. Then I take that ATP I made in photosystem 2, and that reduced NADP I made in photosystem 1, and I take those 2 items to the dark reaction, Calvin cycle, light independent reaction. When I say 3C5, who is that? RUBP. Plus 3C1, who is that?
Carbon dioxide.
Makes 3C6, and then each of those break in half. I level them up with ATP and reduced NADP. I take one away and I leave the rest so I can keep the party going. I do it 2 times, 2 parties. I have 2 halves of glucose. Now, I don't have to synthesize 1 glucose from that. If I'm a plant, I can use that half of glucose to make fatty acids, to make amino acids. If I want to, I can hook a couple together to make glucose. I can hook it to fructose. I can make sucrose. I can make starch. I can make cellulose. It's what I can use to build all the different things I need in the plant. The problem comes in, oh, first answer me this. Yes, you have a question? Or are you just reading like this? The glare is so bright.
No, okay, so, wait, what was I saying? Let me figure it out. Give me a sec. Okay, so you have the 6 carbons, and then they get broken into the 6 pieces of 3 carbon. And then the ATP, like, gets put on them, and then you take 1 away, so now you have 5 of them. And then you do that again, now you have 4, and the 4 is what makes the glucose?
No, I never had 4.
Wait, then, okay.
Never, there's no 4 in there.
Okay, so you stop and you have 5.
Yeah, so I have 5. So let me, while we're answering that, let me go back. Okay. So you had this, right? So you have 3 6 carbons. Yes?
Yeah.
You broke them in half, so now you have 6 3 carbon units, yes? You use some ATP, use some reduced NADP on all 6 of those. So you have 6. Yes? I just take 1 of these away. How many am I left with if I take 1 of them away? 5 of them. Okay, wait. I have 5 right here, yeah? Just doing the math, I have 5 3 carbon things. How many carbons do I have total right here? 15 carbons in little 3 units, yes? I take these 15 carbons, I use some ATP, and I rearrange these 15 carbons into RUBP again.
Oh.
And again, now I have 3 5 carbon units. 3 times 5 is 15. You okay? There's no 4 in there.
Okay.
When I do this thing over again, I'll bring in 3 more CO2s. I'll make 3 more C6s. I will have 6 more C3s, and I will have 6 more of these again. I'll take another one away, and now I can use that, right, to make my glucose if I wanted to.
Oh, okay. So when the thing happens twice, the 2 that get taken away is what glucose?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If I so wish, if I'm a plant. Yay! Okay, then we talked about trouble with RUBP. That C5 guy, 3C5 plus what? 3C none would be oxygen, okay? No carbon, but instead you hook up with oxygen. That's called photorespiration. That's bad. So one way to deal with that is you have C4 plants, and basically what they do to deal with that is they hide their dark reactions in what's called their bundle sheath cells. And they use a compound called PEP, and PEP will only hook up with CO2. He has no eyes for oxygen, bless you. He will hook up with CO2 and then drop the CO2 off here, and this is where they'll do all their Calvin cycles in the interior. Protected, isolated, insulated from all that tempting oxygen. Okay? So those are called C4 plants who have that. Then, so you could look at it like this. Okay, so they're completely cut off from any free oxygen, so that never comes in here and does photorespiration. Option number 2 are CAM plants. And basically at night, when they can leave their stomata open and not worry about water loss and dehydration, they'll fix with their PEP at night. A bunch of bonus extra CO2 is already fixed. Not fixed to RUBP, but fixed to other compounds. So as RUBP becomes available, it can release it and be used even though the stomata are closed. Okay? So those are called CAM plants. And that is another way to deal with the problem of photorespiration. Okay, well, people are thinking, let's talk through them. Which of these statements is true regarding chlorophyll? That means all of these statements are what? False except for one. So it is not the only photosynthetic pigment. Is that a true or a false statement? It's a true statement, right? This is true. It's not the only photosynthetic pigment. What other pigments do you have? Carotenoids, xanthophylls. There is only one kind of chlorophyll. True or false?
False.
False. Because you know there's chlorophyll A and what? And B. Is the only type of pigment in the leaves? No, there's others. This is false. It is the rarest type of pigment in the leaves. False. Okay, so which of these is true? What? A. Donde? Okay. Are you glad you came? Do you feel like you have it locked down a little better? Okay. Not reduce, but to make. Not reducing, I'm making. And you. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm waiting. What is it that you make? Yay! Use some ATP, use some reduced on your 63. Take one away, PGAL. Okay, and that's all I'm waiting. Use some ATP. Yay! Use some reduced NADP. Good. That's 2. This is really easy. Yay! That's 3. So smart. Super smart. This should be where do the light independent.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Never mind.
got my shame bell right here in my back pocket. Are there any stroma in the vacuoles? No. We are dealing with a what? Chloroplast. Shaka Khan. That is a record though for 7th period honors.
No, Julie put A and I said it was wrong. What?
Do not misclick her clicker. Oh my gosh. What goes right here?
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Don't celebrate your ignorance. Be ashamed. 3 plus 3C1 mix. Slowpoke you are. Yay! Back to 1. Big takeaway should be the first word. I'm just saying. Yay! Oh, whoops. Wrong. focus on when you see this word is the word oxygen. And when we think oxygen, we think about what? Respiration. And we're dealing with RUBP, that's the photo, right? We're thinking photosynthesis and combining it with respiration. So photorespiration, that's bad. It is not the Calvin cycle, okay? It is occurring to the Calvin cycle, but the process is called photorespiration, not photosynthesis. Photosynthesis would be okay. Whoa. Okay. And then this part we can save for the review of comparing and contrasting photosynthesis and mitochondria. Okay. Great job, you guys. Super proud of you.
Thank you.
Do you want the other ones?
Are those ones that you didn't go over in class?
No, but I am gonna go over those tomorrow for review.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll call it quits. Yay! Good job. If you're staying up late, eat some toast and sing the song to yourself while you're buttering it.
Is there a video?
Yeah, video's posted. Yeah, there is a video of the song being performed by Period 4 up and posted.